Fiction is entertainment, and the first person that you should be entertaining with your stories is yourself. So today I'm going to be talking about why that's the case. I recently read, I'm still reading a book by Rubin. It's called The Creative Act, A Way of Being, and I'm really enjoying it because what he's talking about is that you should be creating what you really love. So I want to talk about that. Are you creating what you really love? Do you really love the stories that you're writing, and who are you writing them for?
You have a story to tell, but you don't know where to start. Let me show you how to free your story. I teach you how to write and how to dig deep in your soul to release your story and make a difference in the world.
Welcome to the Julia Amante channel. If we're just meeting, I am Julia Amante. I am a women's fiction author, and here on Fridays to give you a few writing tips and just to chat about writing because that's what we all love. So let's talk about that. So I titled this blog, Fiction is Entertainment, because that is the most important part about storytelling, right? It is to entertain. We want to entertain our audience. That's why we're writing. But what Rubin says is we also want to entertain ourselves. And I agree with that because what you are doing, the reason that you're writing is because it's something that interests you. So you need to ask yourself, why is it that I'm writing? Why am I writing this particular story? Why did I choose this story? Why am I interested in it? Why am I writing in the genre that I'm writing in? What attracts me to all of this? Because it should be something that entertains you, something that you like, and something that you want to be writing, and that's why you're doing it. If you're just doing it because you think that the genre is popular, or you just are writing because you think it's going to create give you fame or money, then that's not the right reason to be creating or to be writing in a genre that maybe doesn't interest you and doesn't excite you. So let's talk a little bit more about why we are writing and why it should be entertaining to you. So when I talk about entertaining, what I'm talking about is that it reaches you emotionally on a gut level. It's something that really touches you, that makes you happy, that when you sit down to work, it doesn't even feel like work because it's so much fun, right, to write. It's so interesting to you. It's so, it attracts you maybe intellectually, but also emotionally. So you should consider what it is that you love. Now, in an interview that I heard Mr. Rubin speak in, he said that the audience really doesn't matter, that it really, the only thing that matters is what interests you as the creator. And when I first heard him say that, I was like, what is he talking about? The audience should come first. I'm a writing instructor. I teach college students, and I always tell them that it doesn't matter whether it's business, whether it's fiction, but the audience always comes first, because without an audience, you have nothing. You could write the best book in the world, but if nobody is reading it, then it doesn't matter, right? Because you're reaching no one. There's no communication there. There's no entertainment because nobody's reading it. So my first gut reaction was to kind of say, what is he talking about? He's wrong, right? But the more I thought about what he's saying, the more I understand that what he's really getting at is that if you're not interested and you're not entertaining yourself first, if it's not something that talks to you, it really doesn't matter. And the reason that we create art, and the reason that we should create art, is because we love it. It shouldn't be, there should be no other reason, right? So if we love it first, we are definitely going to be reaching our audience. We're definitely going to be giving our audience something that they want, and therefore we're going to be reaching our goal anyway. So if we're entertained, then that means the audience is entertained as well, which is all very interesting to me, because what we're talking about is the creative act. And the creative act can never be between more than you and the project that you're working on. So even before the audience is a thought, you have to have a relationship with your project, right? With whatever you're writing. And therefore, there can't be anything else, because everything else is distracting. If I'm worried about what a reader is going to think or an audience is going to think, then I can't actually create the best project or the best book that I can, right? So when I'm first writing, when I'm first creating and creating my characters and my plot and my story, it really has to be between me and my project. And if I am loving it, if it's really speaking to me, then it's probably going to end up being a pretty good book. It's going to be a good book that somebody else is going to enjoy. So the first goal in creativity and in creation is to really love your project and to make sure that there are no distractions, that it's just between you and your creation. So in order to create something wonderful, we need to actually be in practice. We need a practice of creating. We need to do it daily, right? We need to always be working on improving and in practicing. So if you want to become a great piano player, you need to practice every day. You need to practice the basics. If you want to become a great author, then you need to practice writing, which means you need to write every day. So what you're not doing is waiting for inspiration to strike. You're not waiting for just to be inspired, right? To write something. You want to do it every day, because when you do it every day, the inspiration will come. There will be days when they won't. Some days you'll just write and it'll feel like a chore and it'll feel like work and like nothing is coming out the way you want it to. But there are other times when you're writing, because you're practicing, because you're writing daily, the inspiration will tend to come more often, because it knows, right? And your body knows, your muse knows, whatever, that that at this time between 1 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon is when we practice writing, when we write. And so therefore, that's when you will tend to become more inspired. But that's not the only time. Another time that Rick talks about, and that it's true, is that sometimes we get inspired when we actually leave our work. So when we go for a drive, when we go for a walk, when we're doing something, when we're not completely focused on it, sometimes we will also be inspired. So you practice daily, and then you also have times for reflection, for meditation, just a time away from your work where you can hopefully continue to think about your project and have it, have those inspired thoughts. And the thing about creativity is that we don't really understand it, right? I mean, that's why sometimes the inspirations come when we're working, and sometimes they come when we're out for a walk. So the thing is, we don't really need to understand it. All we need to do is put in that time, put in that practice, and continue to work on it daily. It can be frustrating, I know, because you sit there and you think, okay, I'm ready to write that chapter, and it just doesn't come. It becomes a struggle sometimes. But the more that we give ourselves the space for that creativity, the more we give ourselves the space for the work that we're trying to get done, the easier it will be. The more you will actually find that inspiration, and the more you'll be able to get the work done when you're scheduling it. And I do believe that creativity is natural. Like, we all have that creative spirit. We all are able to create. But sometimes our mind is so crowded. We have so many things that are taking up space that we do need to have that a little bit of space away from what we're doing. And so we need that balance, right? We need the balance of the scheduled time when we're writing, and then we also need that balance of having some away time where our thoughts can just come when you can just think of your story, and then hopefully when you get back to your writing, it'll be there, right? It'll return. So what does this have to do with fiction being entertaining? Well, first you have to get into the creative act. You have to have the practice of being creative, of practicing your craft. You have to have some time to think about your craft, think about your story, and then you put it together and create something that you enjoy. So that entertainment part comes in, that if you're creating fiction that you love. So think about this: when you decide to read a book or whatever, right? And let's say it's about, like you say, I'm going to go get this book because I want to learn about the astronauts and space travel and all this. Or do you actually just pick a book because it sounds interesting and entertaining? And it should be the same for you as the writer. What is it that you're interested in? Not like what topics are hot right now, or what do readers really want to read about. It's more of like, okay, what is interesting? What is it that I want to write about? And then that's what you write about. And that's becomes, and that's where your creativity comes in, right? So the more you're interested in something, the more entertaining it is for you, the more you're going to, the more inspiration is going to come, the more creative you're going to be able to be. So, I'm actually really enjoying reading that book. I will put the title down in the description area so that you can read more about it if you want to read his perspective. But I just thought I'd mention it that you, as you are choosing your stories, as you're deciding what you want to write about, think about why you're writing it, why you like it. Try not to write just what you think is popular, what the market is going to like, but more what is going to interest you, what's going to entertain you, because that's ultimately what you're going to be passing on to your readers. Your readers are going to be entertained if you are when you're creating. So hopefully this helps. If not, it was just an interesting discussion between us. And I hope to see you next week. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you again next week.